Welcome, everyone. My name is Fabiola Cordova. I'm an associate director here at the National Endowment for Democracy for the Latin American and Caribbean team. On behalf of NED's International Forum for Democratic Studies, I am pleased to welcome everyone to today's presentation, The Media Crackdown in the Andean Region, the Case of Ecuador. It's a little loud here. Featuring Regan Fasel Democracy Fellow, Cesar Ricaurte. We are delighted to have with us as a discussant Don Podesta, Program Officer for the Andean region and also a former journalist and editor at the Washington Post. Funded by the US Congress, the Regan Fasel Democracy Fellows Program hosts some of the world's most dedicated democracy activists, scholars, and journalists to conduct independent research and pursue projects here at NED. Now celebrating our 15th anniversary year, we have hosted more than 250 fellows from over 90 countries since our founding in 2001. Within this remarkable group, our speaker today stands out for unwavering commitment to democracy and freedom of expression in Ecuador. Ecuador's media landscape has changed drastically from the time former President Rafael Correa came to power, with more than 2,000 recorded attacks against journalists during his 10-year rule. Throughout his tenure, President Correa consistently labeled the independent media as the opposition and limited its ability to play a critical watchdog role. President Correa tightened his grip on the media through a multifaceted strategy, using public advertisements selectively to reward friendly media and punish critical ones, getting critical media off the air, either by purchasing them outright or reviewing broadcast frequencies, pursuing regulation to democratize the media, advancing legislation and using the courts to prosecute and fine journalists critical of his administration, and more recently and troubling, using social media to turn everyday citizens against critical journalists. Not surprisingly, Ecuador's media environment suffered tremendously. However, with the recent election of Lenin Moreno as president, it is worth discussing whether attacks on the media will continue. In today's presentation, Cesar will examine the impact of Correa's 10-year administration on the media and discuss the implications for the future of Ecuador. Cesar Ricaurte is co-founder and executive director of Fundamedios, the Andean Foundation for Social Observation and Study of the Media, Ecuador's leading organization devoted to protecting free speech. And I thought I would share a little personal story here. I met Cesar for the first time in 2006 and have been honored to witness Fundamedios grow from just an idea back then to one of the most respected civil society organizations in Ecuador today. Cesar and Fundamedios have systematically monitored the government's attacks on freedom of expression and denounced them domestically and internationally, often at great personal risk. Cesar has been personally harassed by government supporters, and Fundamedios' legal registration has been on the line more than once. You can read more about Cesar's distinguished career and the many awards and recognitions he and Fundamedios have received in the printed bios. Just a second. During his fellowship here at NED, Cesar is writing a book examining the Ecuadorian government's assault on freedom of expression, including the stigmatization of journalists, NGOs, and independent media. He has incorporated Fundamedios' remarkable story of resistance into this larger narrative, and he will share ideas of a few chapters with us today. Don Podesta is a program officer for Latin America at NED, concentrating on Ecuador and Bolivia. Previously, he was a manager and editor at the Center for International Media Assistance at NED. Before coming to the endowment, Don was an assistant manager editor at the Washington Post, where he also served as the paper's news editor and deputy foreign editor. He will provide a wider picture of the media challenges facing the region, the Andes specifically, today. We will now turn the floor over to Cesar, who will speak for approximately 15 minutes with simultaneous interpretation, followed by Don for about 10 minutes. For those of you following us on Twitter, you can follow this presentation and contribute to the discussion at hashtag NET events or by following the forum at Think Democracy and the endowment at NET Democracy. If you have not already done so, please silence your cell phones. And also let me take this opportunity to thank the many staff who have made this possible, and especially Asha Hill, who has offered vital assistance to Cesar throughout his fellowship project here at NET. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for being here and for coming today.
Voy a presentarles esta tarde esta información acerca de lo que ha sido la campaña de acoso y ataques contra la prensa en la región andina, en el caso específico del Ecuador.
Today I'm going to give you a presentation about the situation that we have seen in the Andean region, attacks and harassment of the press, particularly in Ecuador.
Sin embargo, ustedes verán que hay características comunes, elementos comunes que se pueden aplicar a cualquier régimen autoritario populista en el desarrollo de estos ataques sistemáticos contra la prensa y la sociedad civil.
You will note that there are many characteristics which can be seen in any authoritarian regime that does attack and criticize the press.
Bien, durante esta presentación entonces vamos a revisar la situación de los medios en el Ecuador durante la pasada década y los mecanismos utilizados para cerrar el espacio mediático y de la sociedad civil.
During this presentation, we're going to be talking about the background on media situation in Ecuador and mechanisms used to close the media space.
Les hablaré también un poco sobre mi proyecto de estos meses.
I will be talking to you as well about the project that I've been working on here during these past months.
Los probables escenarios de transición democrática o no.
The probable scenarios that we may see or not in the future for democratic processes.
Y revisaremos también algunos puntos de los principios y la hoja de ruta que se ha fijado la sociedad civil en el Ecuador para esta probable transición.
And we will also review some of the points regarding the roadmap for this possible transition in Ecuador and matters that have been taking shape recently over time.
Bueno, para comenzar, quiero presentarles un video que creo que resume bastante bien lo que ha sido estos 10 años bajo el gobierno de Rafael Correa.
First, I'd like to show you a video which I believe summarizes fairly well the past 10 years of Rafael Correa's regime.
Escúchenme bien, el presidente de la República no es solo jefe del poder ejecutivo, es jefe de todo el Estado ecuatoriano. Y el Estado ecuatoriano es poder ejecutivo, poder legislativo, poder judicial, poder electoral, poder de transparencia y control social, superintendencias, procuraduría, Contraloría, todo eso el Estado ecuatoriano.
Que el presidente va a meter las manos en la Corte, por supuesto que la vamos a meter, para mejorar esas Cortes con las que nadie puede estar satisfecho. Es que tiene eso de extraño. A esto le llaman despectivamente el insultadero los sábados, ¿no? Yo no sé cuándo he dicho una palabra soez, procas. Ya no sean tan puercos. Y a esta porquería le damos la del zorro. Prensa como buitres, que esto me causa repulsión. Cavernaria, hipócritas. Prensa corrupta, grosera, cobardes, pasquín, jauría, prensa perversa, mentirosos, cínicos y antipatria. Estos pasquines, prensa conspirativa, son una porquería. Realmente dan asco. Perros hambrientos, cuánta basura. Sinvergüenzas. Por eso, cojan esta prensa corrupta. No sean engañados por estos sinvergüenzas.
Bien, bastante gráfico. Cuando presentamos este video en la Comisión Interamericana de Derechos Humanos, le enojó tanto al presidente que a partir de eso me declaró su enemigo personal. Y
This is very clear and graphic, and when we showed this video at the Inter-American Human Rights Commission, the president was very disturbed to see this.
bien, quiero también presentarles este pedazo del pensamiento correísta acerca de su visión de la sociedad, la política y la situación de los medios. Le he llamado el jardinero constante y van a ver por qué. Así que no se engañen, ese no es el jardinero constante, es el jardinero constante.
I wanted to give you an idea of this image which is presented here about the constant gardener, and this seems to be the view that President Correa has with regard to the press, and it's not this constant gardener, but rather this one, regarding the view of politics and the media.
Bien, ahí está esta frase en declaraciones que hizo Fernando Alvarado, el secretario de Comunicación de Rafael Correa, a la revista Gato Pardo de México.
These are some statements made by Fernando Alvarado, the former Secretary of Communications.
La política es un ring en el que hay que vencer al contrario.
Politics is a ring in which one must beat the opponent.
Tienes que derrotarlo en sus aspiraciones, intereses y privilegios.
You must defeat them in their aspirations, interests, and privileges.
Tienes que ubicar al contrario en la otra esquina.
You have to place the opponent in the other corner.
Los medios son como una maleza que hay que limpiar, sacarlos de la cancha.
The media is like a weed that must be uprooted and removed from the field.
Pero para eso tienes que cortar la maleza y podarla todos los días, porque no se va a morir.
But in order to do that, it must be cut and trimmed daily because it's not going to die.
Me voy por la jardinería constante.
I'm going for constant gardening.
Todo comenzó con la constante estigmatización, prensa corrupta, prensa mediocre, sicarios de tinta, mentirosos. Se gritaba contra el que osa contradecir la verdad oficial, sea con información independiente, sea con información o opinión crítica. Al final, la única verdad es la verdad oficial.
Everything began with a constant stigmatization, corrupt press, mediocre press, hitmen of the ink, liars, liars. This was a constant cry which would face anyone who dared to contradict the official press or the official word presented by the president, whether it was of an independent nature or critical opinion.
Como lo dijo el mismo Correa reiteradamente, la palabra del presidente es sagrada.
As was said repeatedly by President Correa, the president's word is sacred.
Los medios de comunicación confiscados en el 2008 se convirtieron en la punta de lanza de un gigantesco aparato estatal de propaganda.
Communications media confiscated in 2008 became a spearhead of a giant state propaganda apparatus
que se utilizó para perseguir a las voces críticas mientras continuaba la política de estigmatización a ciudadanos, periodistas y defensores de derechos humanos.
It was utilized to pursue critical voices while the policy of stigmatization continued against citizens, journalists, and defenders of human rights, as well as judicial persecution of critics of the regime.
Se agrede, intimida y amenaza a quienes expresan con gestos o palabras su desagrado con el gobierno.
Those who express with gestures or words their displeasure with the government are attacked, intimidated, and threatened.
Quiero mostrarles el siguiente gráfico antes de
Before going on, I'd like to show you the next
seguir.
slide.
De los 9 años del llamado gobierno de la Revolución Ciudadana, más de 158 días completos fueron dedicados exclusivamente a imponer la verdad oficial. El sistema es que se obliga a los medios de comunicación a emitir mensajes ordenados por el gobierno. Estos mensajes son obligatorios, se transmiten o bien por todos los medios de comunicación del país o bien por un segmento de estos medios, el gobierno elige. Y ustedes ven ahí las cifras, son 5.586 cadenas nacionales, 158 días ininterrumpidos al aire, 24 horas.
You can see the figures here on the screen, but of the 9 years of the so-called Citizens' Revolution government, more than 158 whole entire days were dedicated exclusively to imposing the official truth in Ecuadorian radio and television media through mandatory broadcasts. These government messages translate into a total of 5 months straight, or approximately 3,792 hours that came out on the air free in the media.
Bien, entonces con ese gigantesco aparato de propaganda al servicio del gobierno, ese constante acoso a la prensa se vuelve una política del día a día. La poda diaria, el jardinero constante que decíamos antes.
These constant attacks actually became what was described earlier as the clipping or trimming daily of the media and freedom of expression.
Y bien, en ese escenario los ataques contra la prensa se incrementan. Ustedes pueden ver ahí en ese gráfico claramente cómo suben las agresiones contra los periodistas. Comenzamos con un registro en el 2008 de menos de 50 agresiones.
You can see here on this graph how the attacks against the press increased over time from 2008 to 2016, initially very close to zero in 2008.
Y terminamos el 2016 con cerca de 500 agresiones.
And we finalize here in 2016 with close to 500 attacks.
¿Qué clase de agresiones son las que se reportan? Ahí tenemos el gráfico. Agresiones físicas.
You can see here the different types of attacks, and it is written in English. They were physical aggressions.
Luego tenemos los abusos del poder estatal, es decir, justamente la emisión de cadenas nacionales, por ejemplo.
Abuse of state power, for example, the issuance of these government media organizations.
Los ataques verbales.
Verbal attacks.
Y los procesos por la ley de comunicación.
And the processes legally which took place with regard to communication law.
Bien. Justamente me voy a tomar unos minutos para contarles acerca de la ley de comunicación.
I'd like to take a few moments to speak with you about this law of communication.
Esto es una frase también del presidente Correa en una de sus sabatinas. Gracias a nuestra ley de comunicación se les acabó la fiesta.
This is something in the words of our former president, Rafael Correa. Thanks to our communication law, the party is over for you.
Algo que le debemos reconocer al presidente Correa o al expresidente Correa es que siempre era muy claro en las cosas que decía, siempre era muy transparente. Y cuando dijo esto, de gracias a nuestra ley de comunicación se les acabó la fiesta, estaba siendo literal.
We have to realize that our former president, Correa, was always very transparent and clear in the things that he said. And when he indicated, thanks to our communication law, the party is over for you, he meant it.
Exactamente, la ley de comunicación fue creada para proteger a los funcionarios públicos, a los funcionarios del gobierno.
This law was actually created in order to protect political officials.
Y lo primero que hizo la ley es que expropió un derecho personal, como es la libertad de expresión, y lo convirtió en un servicio público.
The first thing that this law did was to expropriate a personal right, like freedom of expression, of thought, and changed it into a public service.
Entonces, básicamente los efectos ha sido un régimen de censura previa, donde los diarios son obligados a pedir disculpas en términos perentorios.
The effects have been self-censorship and fear.
Y publicar los contenidos ordenados por el gobierno.
And publishing content which is controlled and ordered by the government.
autocensura y temor.
self-censorship and fear.
En algunas redacciones se ha impuesto los abogados sobre los periodistas.
In some cases, lawyers were put over journalists.
Sanciones discrecionales contra los medios de comunicación
Discretionary sanctions against the media.
y, el control sobre los contenidos de los medios de comunicación a través de la imposición de un código de ética.
Control of the content of media through a code of ethics.
Revisemos algunos casos emblemáticos de la aplicación de la ley. Este es una caricatura de Bonil publicada en diciembre del 2013.
This was published in a newspaper in 2013 in December, and these are some examples of what we've been describing here.
Retrataba el ingreso y allanamiento al domicilio, a la casa del periodista Fernando Villavicencio por parte de la policía y cómo se les llevan computadoras, documentos, etcétera, etcétera.
This is showing a search and seizure which took place by the police in the public prosecutor's office, emptying his home of documentation, computers, etc.
Para esto hay que decir que Fernando Villavicencio era uno de los periodistas o es uno de los periodistas que mejor ha investigado la corrupción, especialmente en el sector petrolero en el Ecuador.
We must indicate that Fernando Villavicencio was one of the journalists who most strongly investigated corruption, especially in the petroleum industry.
Al gobierno le disgustó esta caricatura de Bonil, dijo que no era veraz.
The government did not like this caricature of that Bonil created,
y le obligó a publicar una rectificación que es la siguiente.
and he obliged him to create a rectification, and this is it.
En la primera se retrata una entrada de la policía violenta.
In the first one, you can see a violent intrusion on the part of the police.
Y en la segunda, Bonil caricaturiza que la policía entra de una forma absolutamente amable, cortés, se brindan cafecitos.
And in the second one, you can see that Bonil is showing that the police are coming, polite and happy, offering coffee, etc.
Villavicencio les dice, no se preocupen, llévense nomás las computadoras, no pasa nada.
Villavicencio is saying, don't worry, take whatever you want, no problem.
Este es un segundo caso interesante, es una historia publicada por Diario El Comercio, una investigación de meses, donde reveló que un proyecto hidroeléctrico había tenido un sobreprecio, un ajuste de precio de 606 millones de dólares.
This is another interesting story which was provided by El Comercio, a newspaper, where there was a concern about an increase in a hydroelectric project. The price was over budget.
Y como ustedes verán en la segunda publicación, el gobierno le obliga a publicar, de hecho le manda toda la página diseñada diciendo que no hay tal ajuste de 606 millones.
And basically the president sent that first page and said, no, absolutely not, that is not the case, there was no adjustment.
Sin ninguna
the
prueba,
price.
obviamente, o sea, es la palabra del presidente sagrada.
Obviously with no
No hay
evidence,
sobreprecio, no hay sobreprecio.
it was the word of the president, considered to be sacred, and if he said so, it had to be true.
Y por último, quiero presentarles a estos dos figuras interesantes. El primero, esta marioneta, tiene el honor de ser la primera víctima del linchamiento mediático del mundo.
Now I'd like to show you these two examples, and the first one is a puppet that was the first victim of this media lynching.
Esta marioneta que representaba al presidente de la Federación Ecuatoriana de Fútbol, era parte de un programa deportivo.
This had to do with a program, a sports program, the president of the soccer team.
Y el presidente de la Federación se sintió ofendido. Vale decir que el presidente de la Federación Ecuatoriana de Fútbol ahora está en la cárcel, acusado de corrupción, pero se sintió ofendido por la marioneta, así que enjuició al canal de televisión y obtuvo una condena.
So the president of the Ecuadorian Soccer Federation was insulted by this, and by the way, I should say that this person is now in jail due to problems of corruption, and the TV channel was sanctioned for this caricature.
Bueno, y los chicos que están ahí en bata son los criminales mediáticos más peligrosos del mundo.
And these fellows that are here in robes are the most dangerous media criminals of the world.
Tienen 19 sanciones en su contra.
They have 19 sanctions against them.
Bien, en ese espacio en el cual los medios de comunicación han sido constantemente agredidos, la sociedad civil también ha visto restringido su trabajo.
We've noted that the media has been attacked constantly in the efforts that they carry out, and now we can see as well examples of civil society that has suffered a similar fate.
Y de hecho, con pocos días de distancia, se aprobó la Ley de Comunicación y luego un decreto presidencial, el decreto 16, que restringía el trabajo de la prensa.
So within a few days, this law of communications was passed, and also Decree number 16 to control Ecuadorian civil society from the executive.
La primera organización cerrada con la legislación aprobada por el presidente fue la organización Pachamama, que trabajaba con los indígenas.
An effort was also carried out by on the part of the president with regard to the foundation Pachamama, which was dissolved.
En 2015 se inició el proceso contra Fundamedios, que finalmente fue archivado ante la reacción internacional. Ya lo mencionó Fabiola, así que no voy a abundar más en el tema.
In 2015, the proceeding was begun against Fundamedios, which was finally shelved when it was confronted with international reactions. And Fabiola gave details on this, so I won't speak more about it.
Finalmente, en el 2016, el gobierno le quitó la personería jurídica al más grande sindicato de maestros, la UNE.
Finally, in 2016, the executive removed the legal status of the largest teachers' union in the nation, which was removed in December of 2016.
Y en diciembre de 2016 se intentó disolver la organización ecológica Acción Ecológica.
Interpreter corrects. In December of 2016, there was an attempt to dissolve the ecological action.
Las razones son diversas. A nosotros, por ejemplo, Fundamedios nos acusaron de dedicarnos a actividades políticas partidistas por emitir alertas sobre agresiones contra periodistas.
Since we issued alerts regarding attacks on the journalists, we were considered to be partisan in our reporting.
Atentar en contra de la seguridad del Estado.
And also to be threatening the security of the state, national security.
O en el caso del sindicato de maestros, la UNE, simplemente porque no se le permitió registrar su directiva.
And with regard to the teachers union, UNE, because they were not allowed to register their board of directors.
En cualquier caso, la sociedad civil, incluso las organizaciones que han sido despojadas de su estatuto jurídico, han resistido, siguen ahí y son fundamentales para una transición hacia la democracia.
In any case, civil society, including organizations that have been stripped of their legal status, have resisted and continue present and are fundamental for a transition to democracy.
Y es precisamente esas historias de la resistencia lo que vine a escribir acá en NED en estos meses.
Because of these stories of resistance, I have come here to write this book.
Mi libro se llama El aguante, historias de la resistencia frente a un régimen autoritario.
It is called Endurance, Stories of the Democratic Resistance in the Face of an Authoritarian Regime.
Y básicamente trata de que cuando en una sociedad aparecen estos síntomas que son los líderes autoritarios,
Basically, it has to do with a situation when in a society the symptoms appear of authoritarian leaders.
la cura es el fortalecimiento de los sistemas de resistencia que le permite sobrevivir.
The cure is strengthening the systems of resistance that allow for survival and activate when these very conditions for transition arise.
Mi libro trata de eso, de la relación sociedad, líder autoritario y luego el panorama cuando la situación política cambia y se presentan oportunidades de salir de ese régimen.
My book refers to the relationship between society, authoritarian leadership, and then the panorama when the political situation changes and opportunities arise for coming out from under this regime.
Y ya que hablamos de transición, quiero plantearles algunos escenarios de lo que está pasando ahora. Como saben, tuvimos elecciones generales y un nuevo presidente de Alianza País, el mismo partido de Rafael Correa, el señor Lenín Moreno, se posesionó el 24 de mayo pasado.
Since we're speaking about transitions, I'd like to mention a few. As you know, we had a general election recently, and a new president from Alianza País, the same party of Rafael Correa, Mr. Lenín Moreno, took possession of his power on last May 24th.
En menos de un mes, cuando Correa estaba aún en el país, se produjeron varios símbolos de distanciamiento que ha terminado en una ruptura casi total.
In less than a month, when Correa was still in the country, several symbols of distancing arose that ended almost in a total break.
Correa ha llamado al nuevo presidente mediocre y traidor
Correa has called the new president mediocre and a traitor,
por Twitter, obviamente,
obviously
algunos-
by Twitter,
y algunos legisladores fieles al viejo régimen están en franca rebelión.
and some of the legislators who were part of the old regime are in outright rebellion.
Mientras esto sucede, las denuncias de corrupción, principalmente referentes al caso Odebrecht,
As this was taking place, the complaints of corruption, mainly referring to the Odebrecht case,
ya han afectado a exministros de Correa y apuntan al vicepresidente Jorge Glass.
had already affected former Correa ministers and pointed to Vice President Jorge Glass.
Por ahora, Glass luce blindado por su partido político,
He was considered one of those who was responsible for the energy projects in the past, and he now had been protected up till now by the party.
pero su situación es incierta.
But his situation is uncertain.
Es momento entonces de plantearse la revisión de algunos escenarios posibles en este momento de transición en el Ecuador. El
Now
prim-
now I'd like to present a few scenarios that are possible for our transition in Ecuador towards democracy.
El primer escenario es Moreno consolidando su poder
The first one is Moreno consolidating his power
y conduciendo una verdadera transición democrática.
and carrying out or being a leader of a true democratic transition.
Eso va a depender muchísimo de la movilización social y del margen de maniobra política que tenga Moreno dentro de su partido.
This will depend a lot on society's mobilization in favor of these changes and the power that he is able to glean from his position.
Pero también de que la oposición mantenga una actitud democrática. Recordemos que hasta el principio, hasta el momento, hasta este momento, Guillermo Lasso, el principal candidato opositor, no ha reconocido la victoria de Lenín Moreno.
But also the opposition will need to take on a democratic attitude because, as you probably know, the party has not fully accepted the candidate or the winning of this.
Y eso al principal líder de oposición lo deja fuera de juego.
So the key opposition leader is left out of the game.
En el segundo escenario, Moreno adopta una serie de gestos positivos
In the second scenario, Moreno adopts a serious set of positive gestures.
algunos de los cuales ya los ha tomado hasta el momento,
Some of them he has taken to this moment,
pero la oposición interna de Correa y su facción en Alianza País impiden que se materialice en reales políticas públicas.
but the internal opposition of Correa and his faction in Alianza País impedes their materialization into a real public policy.
Y el tercer escenario, que es el más negativo, es que Moreno tiene una presidencia fallida
The
Es
third
reemplazado por-
scenario, which is the most negative one, would be that Moreno has a failed presidency
y es reemplazado por alguien de línea dura de Alianza País,
and is replaced by someone with a hard line from Alianza País,
como el vicepresidente Glass.
such as Vice President Glass.
Una posibilidad que incluso la ha planteado ya el mismo Rafael Correa otra vez por Twitter.
Another possibility which has been presented by Twitter by a former President Correa.
En cualquier escenario de transición para la sociedad civil en el Ecuador, los principios son la guía y lucharemos para que se recupere la libertad de expresión y de prensa, la libertad de asociación y la independencia de la justicia.
In any of these scenarios, principles for civil society are the guide, and we will fight for them to be recovered. Freedom of expression and the press, freedom of association, independence of justice.
Finalmente, quiero hablarles de esto que se llama el roadmap, la hoja de ruta, que algunas organizaciones del país, en el marco de la campaña electoral, elaboramos un marco en el cual podríamos establecer las líneas para avanzar en un proceso de transición política.
Now I'd like to talk about the roadmap. Some of us came up with some ideas of a framework during the elections campaign. Almost all of the political forces, with the exception of Alianza País, subscribed to the document, Our Roadmap for Recovering Freedom of Expression.
Algunas acciones urgentes las tenemos aquí. Por ejemplo, es tomar medidas para acabar con el estado de propaganda estatal.
Here we have some urgent actions. Take measures, for example, to remove the propaganda state.
La segunda, garantizar la independencia de los medios estatales o de los medios públicos.
The second one would be to guarantee independence of public media,
Reformar la ley de comunicación
reform communications law,
con base en los estándares internacionales y con asistencia técnica de las relatorías de libertad de expresión de la OEA y Naciones Unidas.
and this law must follow international standards drafted with technical support from the OAS and UN rapporteurs.
Y finalmente, llamar a un nuevo concurso para la asignación de 1.400 frecuencias de radio y televisión, pues el concurso actual está plagado de corrupción y falta de transparencia.
And then to call for new TV and radio frequencies because the current one is plagued with corruption.
Finalmente, con esto quiero agradecer a todos su presencia y a NET, a todos su apoyo durante estos meses. Espero que podamos compartir pronto mi libro. Yo aspiro que esté hasta finales de año ya publicado y podamos tener un evento como este para presentar ya el libro.
Finally, I would like to thank everyone here at NED for their support during the time that I have been here. It is my hope that the book will be published by the end of this year, and I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you so much for the privilege of speaking with you today.
Well, thank you, Cesar, for that thorough and informative discussion of the media landscape in Ecuador and the critical role of Fundamedios over the past 10 years in defending freedom of expression in your country. My role here is to pull back the lens a little bit and put this in the context of media trends in the region and pan the camera still a little bit more broadly, perhaps, and put it in the global context as well. So let me start, if I can work this right, with some data provided by our friends at Freedom House. Freedom House has been keeping records and doing analysis of press freedom for 37 plus years. The first report, I think, was published in 1980. And this is the way it looked. For those of you who are not familiar with their methodology, the purple countries refer to countries that do not have a free media. The yellow ones are partly free, and then the green ones are considered to be free media environments. 1980, this is what the world looked like. You can see that in the Americas, we only had really a couple of problem countries. This data reflects 1979, so we were dictatorships towards the end of that era. So in the southern cone, you see Uruguay and Argentina are not free. Otherwise, it's the usual suspects, Cuba, and some in the north. 10 years later, the picture looked quite a bit rosier, or greener, I should say. You can see that most of Latin America is in pretty good shape compared to the Eastern Hemisphere, Sub-Saharan Africa and the former Soviet Union, and that may have been maybe the high water mark for press freedom in the world at the time, certainly for Latin America. 10 years later, things have rolled back. Things do not look as nice. Still, only a few countries in the purple on the continent, but we have Cuba, as usual, and Peru. I don't remember my history enough to know why. Oh, I think it was during the Fujimori, right, yeah. So, and in the following decade, Venezuela has joined the party, but we have a couple of bright spots in Uruguay and Chile. Cuba remains Cuba. And apologies for the different look and feel for this map. It's the most recent one, and the look and feel of the publications have changed for Freedom House. But notice that Ecuador is now in the purple. It actually fell into that category for the 2013 report, which reflected 2012 data. And it has been in there, in that category, for the last half of Rafael Correa's term in office, which says something about that period. So the takeaway from these slides is that press freedom and freedom of expression in Latin America and the Caribbean has waxed and waned over the decades, but as a whole, the region still fares better than much of the Eastern Hemisphere outside of Western Europe and the Nordic countries. That said, however, in some countries of Latin America, we are not in a particularly happy place right now, and of course, one of those is Ecuador. Cesar referred to the communications law in Ecuador. It's worth highlighting 4 elements of this law in the context of international standards for freedom of expression that raise questions in terms of those standards. First, as Cesar alluded to, the law creates a new category of crime, media lynching, which is defined as multiple media outlets reporting and repeating information that could harm an individual's public credibility or reputation. Not only does this make it very difficult for the press as a sector to cover instances of official or corporate corruption, it's a concept that in terms of global standards is practically unheard of, it's practically unique. Even in closed societies such as China, local media can report on corruption by local officials when it is uncovered. Second, the law makes it obligatory to cover news deemed to be of public interest. Well, who decides what is of public interest? Traditionally, that would be editors and station managers. Under this requirement, it would be the government. In one semi-amusing example, the government opened an investigation into 4 newspapers in Ecuador for the crime of failing to mention in their coverage of President Correa's state visit to Chile in 2014 that he had received an honorary degree from a university during that visit. Thirdly, declaring communications, including the news media, as a public service, like water or electrical utilities, then gives this the same status as any utility that can be regulated by the government. And lastly, the creation of a superintendence of communications, which would carry out such regulation. So not a pretty picture. To end on a more hopeful note, though, perhaps under the new administration of President Lenín Moreno, an opening of the media space will occur, and that Ecuador will rejoin those of its neighbors who foster a more open and space for independent news media. But we'll have to wait and see. There are some other hopeful signs in the region and Ecuador. Media outlets in Ecuador and elsewhere in the region that are using digital technologies to produce solid, independent journalism like never before. In Ecuador, a handful of digital media platforms are producing quality journalism, among them Cuatro Pelagatos, Plan V, and Mil Hojas. In some cases, these outlets are staffed by well-known journalists who have lost their jobs in traditional media because of government or economic pressure. And just to note, last month, former President Correa sued one of 4 Pelagatos' journalists for defamation. The article in question was published in April when Correa was still president and therefore a public figure. 2 weeks ago, a court found against Correa, a result that would have been highly unlikely had Correa still been in office. Elsewhere in the region, Silla Vacía in Colombia, El Faro in El Salvador, Ojo Público in Peru, Animal Político in Mexico are doing great work. These outlets support themselves using hybrid business models. They sell some advertising space, they solicit and receive funding from donors, they sell subscriptions or otherwise harness digital media for crowdfunding. In some cases, journalists develop their web design and data analysis skills and are able to support their journalism by charging customers for technical services and by training other journalists. We're also seeing, and the net is supporting, innovative regional networks of Latin American journalists working in cooperation across borders, such as Conectas based in Bogotá, Colombia, and another such regional NGO is Sembra Media, which concentrates on helping digital media startups understand and develop business models to make them more sustainable and less dependent on donor support. These developments offer a glimmer of hope for two reasons. One, they demonstrate that journalists can still find ways to ply their trade and inform the public, even under adverse economic and political conditions. And two, the fact that they are harnessing the digital technologies, including social media and mobile devices and applications, shows that they're thinking ahead. Nearly 6 million Ecuadorians use Facebook. More than 46% of the population owns cell phones. A significant portion of those are smartphones. The advantage these small digital media outlets have over their more slow-moving traditional media competitors is that they can be nimble enough to experiment and surf the wave of the future. Because clearly print and broadcast media news is not the next best thing, not in Ecuador nor really anywhere else on the planet. So with that, I'll stop and we'll look forward to your questions. And happy to engage in a discussion. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you both for your great presentations. I thought maybe I'll get us started with like one question for Cesar, and then we have around 30 minutes for questions from the audience, and I'm sure there will be many. Maybe first, and thinking back about your potential scenarios, I feel like everyone is taking this wait-and-see approach. Let's give kind of new President Moreno a little time, and let's see how he does. What would be some kind of decisive steps he would need to take, or his administration would need to take, to kind of convince you that we're really entering a new era?
A ver, yo creo que es clave la voluntad para reformar la ley de comunicación. Eso, digamos, marcaría el límite en el cual ya estamos hablando de otro escenario. Sin embargo, yo diría que las medidas que ha tomado hasta el momento el presidente Moreno, específicamente en la reforma y renovación de los medios estatales, y poner ahí una figura, un periodista independiente con mucha experiencia, mucho prestigio, es ya un signo muy, muy positivo. Ahora, el otro punto que también tiene que… perdón. sorry.
Okay. I believe that something positive that we're seeing right now is the reform in the law of communication, which is setting some limits. In other words, it is a measure that the new President Moreno, has taken to reform and renew efforts with the state media. In other words, assigning an independent, prestigious, and experienced journalist to work in this area.
Sorry, just for correction, what he meant to say is that a gesture that would convince him would be to reform the communications law. There has been no effort to begin that reform yet.
Thank you very much.
But that, just because.
Thank you. Y lo que iba a mencionar es que la legislación en contra de la sociedad civil, en cambio, sí depende exclusivamente del presidente Moreno. Y ahí podría él tomar una acción casi inmediata en la reforma del decreto 16 y del 739, que son los decretos contra la sociedad civil.
I believe that something that could be done that would be very effective with regard to legislation against civil society is something with regard to number 16 and 739.
Y simplemente aclarar que cuando decimos una reforma de la ley de comunicación, no decimos que se tiene que reformar de una determinada forma, sino que se inicie el debate, y por eso decíamos que se debería invitar a los relatores para que acompañen técnicamente este proceso de reforma.
So I'd like to make a clarification with regard to reforming the law of communications. We're not saying that it should be done in a specific way, but rather the debate should be begun, and we should have the accompaniment of rapporteurs to provide support in this effort.
Great, thank you. And maybe for Don, you offer a silver lining kind of at the end in terms of digital media really taking off in the region and their contribution to better and more pluralistic information. In this regard, do you feel that Ecuador is part of the trend or is leading the trend, given that very particular media environment in Ecuador?
I would say it's among those leading the trend, but as I mentioned, there's some very fine outlets in Colombia and in Mexico who are also doing very well. One area where I think what is leading the trend is actually with Fundamedios, because it has this very robust media observatory that tracks violations of freedom of expression as opposed to putting out journalistic content. So that marriage of having 3 or 4 very agile and quality journalism coming out of the groups I mentioned in Ecuador, plus the existence of Fundamedios, makes Ecuador a rich environment for the digital technologies and alternative ways of people being informed. And remember that in the digital technologies, in most countries, there just isn't the mechanisms for control that there are for traditional media. It's much more of a Wild West in terms of being able to use the social media platforms to push out journalistic work.
Okay, great, thank you. We're going to open up for questions. If you can raise your hand, wait for the mic, identify yourself and your affiliation, that would be great. We'll start here, then Martin, and I don't know if somebody, and Raul. Yes, please.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I'm Josh Maclater from USAID. You painted a very compelling picture about the propaganda state, where the president monopolizes the airwaves, grabs everyone's attention, trashes the media. I'd be curious to know a little bit more what your community of journalists and civil society do to resist that, to earn the public trust, to get people thinking right or in a different way again. I'm asking for a friend.
We'll take a few. So Martin y después Raúl.
Yes, hello, Martin Friedel with the Center for International Private Enterprise. Very excellent presentation. I really appreciate you've provided us with a lot of information about what's happened in Ecuador in regards to media freedoms. Maybe if you can expand a little bit more on, as Don pointed, there's an opportunity, digital media for, high caliber, small outfits to really produce quality information, but also obviously regimes such as the old Korea regime fight back, and they also have sort of tools in their arsenal to counter sort of those groups. So if you can talk a little bit more, if you've done research on trolling online by the Korea administration or the current government, and sort of new trends you see in the region as to sort of counterbalance this, I guess, positive trend that Don highlighted. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Raúl, right here in front of him.
Thank you. I'm Raúl Peñaranda, a fellow from Bolivia here at NET. I would like to, first of all, congratulations, Cesar, for your very informative presentation. What is with this communication law that the new president cannot just reject or dump? I mean, is it so strong, and why, if it's unpopular, and why, if the new president is trying to show a more democratic face. Why does he not just act in that sense? Thank you.
Great, thank you. We'll start with Cesar and then give a chance to Don as well to comment.
Gracias por sus preguntas. Sobre el tema del espacio para los periodistas, yo espero que sí, o sea, espero que realmente este momento sea mucho más vibrante, y yo creo que sí lo va a ser, o sea, que los meses que vienen por delante, el momento que ya se comienza a respirar libertad, como decía el mismo presidente Moreno, esto va a seguir cambiando.
Yes, oh gosh, I'm sorry. It's too much. Yes, with regard to, for more space for journalists, yes, I do have hope that this will be a very vibrant moment, and that will begin, as the new president has said, to breathe a new air of freedom in our nation with regard to journalism and the press.
Sobre libertad de expresión online, de todo el sistema de medios online y el tema de los trolls y demás, realmente tendríamos que hacer otra presentación porque hay millón cosas. Solamente mencionar un par. Sorry.
With regard to this freedom of expression and online and the media and trolls and whatnot, we'd really have to have another presentation to be able to cover this topic. It's very extensive.
Yeah. Solamente decir dos cosas. Uno, que el gobierno de Correa fue muy creativo en utilizar una nueva forma de censura, que era la ley de copyright de los Estados Unidos.
First of all, it's interesting to note that the government of Correa was very creative in utilizing a new form of censorship, utilizing the copyright law of the United States.
Algo que ya lo estamos comenzando a ver, que lo utiliza, por ejemplo, el gobierno turco, pero Correa fue el primero que lo utilizó.
We're seeing this being used elsewhere, such as the government of Turkey, but Correa was one of the first ones to do so.
Y básicamente consiste en reclamar que ciertos materiales que están online tienen copyright.
And this is precisely to claim that some materials online have copyrights.
Y me refiero a fotografías del presidente,
such as pictures of the president,
a fragmentos de discursos, de intervenciones en la televisión.
Fragments of speeches and also speeches on television.
Es decir, información que en cualquier democracia sería pública.
In other words, information that in any democracy would be considered public information.
Pero en el Ecuador el gobierno registró esa información como si tuviera copyright.
But in Ecuador, the government registered this information as if it had a copyright.
Y entonces pedía a YouTube, a Facebook, a Twitter que bajaran esa información.
And so requested YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to remove that information from their platforms.
Muchas veces de forma exitosa, la mayoría de veces de forma exitosa.
And many times in a successful manner, they were successful in doing this.
Y lo otro que quisiera mencionar alrededor de esto es que hace poco se reveló, el New York Times publicó que habían sido espiados masivamente periodistas, activistas y opositores en México.
Recently, there was mention in the New York Times of spies on journalists, principally in Mexico.
Sin embargo, el mismo tipo de espionaje había sido aplicado ya en Argentina, Ecuador, Venezuela y Brasil.
Nevertheless, this same type of spies on journalists had taken place already in Ecuador, Argentina, Venezuela, and Brazil.
Como lo reveló el mismo Citizen Lab. Yo recibía diariamente por lo menos 30 correos electrónicos infectados tratando de penetrar en mi computadora.
Especially regarding Citizen Lab, I received 30 at least emails daily that were infected and they were trying to invade my system.
Y sobre la LOC, lo de los trolls, sí. Sí, lo de los trolls. Sí, eso.
Just clarifying a little bit of the nature of your question.
Sí, Como te decía, es que hay tantos elementos en este tema de la libertad de expresión online, y el de los trolls es muy importante. El gobierno tiene ha manejado durante estos 10 años decenas de trolls, de centros de trolls o de trolls farms, como decía Connie, me parece. Y lo que vemos ahora es algo que también lo estamos viendo en Estados Unidos, que es la reproducción de sitios de fake news, ¿no es cierto?, de todo tipo, o sea, de sitios que te sacan información contra el gobierno falsa y de información que te saca información de la oposición igualmente falsa. Ahí, sí.
Yes, as I mentioned before, there are so many things to talk about with regard to online reporting and whatnot. But this one subject you mentioned about trolls and troll farms, for 10 years the government had established actually dozens of these. And as Comey mentioned also, he coined the phrase troll farms. And now we're seeing, even in the US, we have reproductions of this, the fake news that is going out, and it can be false, and it can be against the government, against the opposition, and repeated multiple times in many platforms.
O sea, finalmente el objetivo es clarísimo, ¿no? Afectar la credibilidad del espacio mediático digital.
And obviously the objective is clear, to affect the credibility of the media.
Y finalmente, sobre la reforma a la ley de comunicación que preguntaba Raúl.
And finally, with regard to the communications law, about its reform that Raúl was asking about.
Lo que hay que considerar es que, bueno, Moreno está 45 días en el poder, y provenimos de una década de gobierno correísta en el cual Correa tuvo todas los instrumentos del poder.
Well, first, with regard to the question that was active, Moreno has just been in power for 45 days now, and we're coming out of 10 years of Correa's activities. And so...
Y entonces, Moreno tiene todavía muchas resistencias al interior de su propio partido.
Moreno is experiencing quite a bit of resistance from within his own party.
Hay una facción muy grande todavía de seguidores de Correa.
There's a very large faction of followers of Correa still.
Y ellos no quieren ni siquiera oír hablar de alguna reforma a la ley de comunicación.
They don't even want to hear said anything about such a reform of this communications law.
Okay.
Great. Don?
I don't have anything to add to what Cesar just said, but a question about a question. Josh, was your question answered? I mean, I thought you were asking about, what Josh was asking was, how can groups like Fundamedios and the media, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, engage the public to put them on your side of the battle with a government like Correa's was? Did I get that right? O sea, la pregunta es cómo enganchar al público para ayudar en la...
Sí, pero bueno, como yo te decía, lo que esperamos es que la situación en general del país evolucione en este ambiente de mayor libertad, y por lo tanto eso haga que se vuelva a respirar un cierto aire de mayor apertura.
As I mentioned, we are hoping that the general situation in the nation will evolve towards more freedom, an opportunity to breathe more freely, an air of this openness.
Lo que está clarísimo es que la credibilidad de los medios subió mucho en la etapa final del gobierno de Correa.
What is very clear is that the credibility of the media in the final time of Correa suffered greatly.
Y tiene un mayor margen, sí.
Sorry, the opposite, that it had increased. The credibility of the media had increased.
Sí.
Subió.
High increase.
Perdón.
Subió, sí. Y en este momento los medios tienen una gran oportunidad en la medida en que la lucha contra la corrupción es un asunto, un issue mayor, un asunto mayor para el país.
And also the advantage that the media has this great opportunity in the struggle against corruption in the nation.
Great. Thank you. We'll take another round of questions.
Vamos a tomar una
Yeah,
ronda adicional
please
de
raise your
preguntas.
hand and identify yourself.
Identifíquese.
Okay, we have one person in the back.
Hi, my name's Millie Legrain. I'm a freelance journalist. I'm just interested in what the situation was before Correa came to power, just to put things in context a little bit.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Can we take one more? Yes, right behind Martin.
Hi, my name is Ahmad Hashemi from Iran. So in my country, in order to discredit the freedom activist, social society groups, they attribute them to the Western countries, like they say they are funded and financed and supported by the Western, or the literature like imperialist powers and so on and so forth. You didn't talk about that in Latin America. Is it not common to attribute these groups to the U.S. or other like Western European countries? Thank you.
Good question. Is there one more, or let's turn this over back to César then for.
Okay. Bueno, antes de Correa. A ver, existía una situación en que la prensa privada era la dominante.
Before Correa, there was a time where private press was predominant.
Muy poca presencia de la prensa comunitaria.
Little presence of community press.
Y la prensa pública no existía.
And there was no public press.
La transformación más dramática que ha sucedido en estos 10 años es justamente eso.
During the past 10 years, this was the most dramatic change that we have seen.
Que hoy tenemos a la prensa privada arrinconada, la prensa comunitaria con un crecimiento pequeño.
Now we see private press in a corner and public press. Repite la última parte.
Community press has grown a little bit.
Y la prensa comunitaria creciendo.
Muy poco, sí.
Muy poco.
Pero con un gran espacio, en cambio, para la prensa del Estado.
But, on the other hand, a huge space for the government press. State press.
La situación antes de Correa no era la ideal.
It wasn't an ideal situation before Correa.
Había muchos problemas.
There were many problems.
Pero de ninguna forma se solucionaron esos problemas en estos 10 años.
But these problems were in no way resolved during these past 10 years.
Y la segunda pregunta, sí, tienes razón, no mencioné eso en mi presentación.
You're correct. On the second question, I did not mention that in my presentation.
Tenía 3 láminas sobre eso, pero tuve que sacarlas por tiempo.
I had 3 slides on that topic, but I had to remove them because of a lack of time.
Pero sí, es una narrativa que también existe en América Latina con mucha fuerza.
This is a very strong narrative that's taking place in Latin America. You're right.
De hecho, según esa narrativa, yo soy el jefe de operaciones psicológicas de la CIA en América Latina.
As a matter of fact, I'm the chief of operations in the CIA in Latin America, just so you know.
Soy un tipo muy peligroso para
I'm very dangerous.
Great. We can take one more round before we close off. Anybody has a burning question about Ecuador? No? Well, you must have done a really good job then. One more, yes.
Charles Self from 227 International. Let me ask, what has been the situation with the public as all of this has happened? Have we had separate narratives emerge, some centered on the president and some opposed to the president? How deeply has that split, or has he managed to build a consensus that only the most strong advocates of civil society have resisted?
Anyone else, last chance? No? Okay. I have one question, since taking advantage of a little extra time. I thought it was interesting that you said President Moreno has the ability to make changes to Decreto 16 because that's an executive decree, but changing or reforming the communications law would be much more difficult. But what about taking other steps that is not necessarily legislative reform, but like maybe defunding SECOM, or taking other steps that may have a very similar outcome, but might not require kind of a legislative action where he maybe has less control? What do you think that's likely?
Totalmente de acuerdo.
I agree totally.
El primer punto de la hoja de ruta, si recuerdan, era el tema de desmontar el aparato de propaganda.
And that's the point that we had. The first point of the roadmap was to dismantle the propaganda apparatus.
Y eso lo puede hacer perfectamente el presidente Moreno sin pasar por el Congreso.
President Moreno could do that perfectly well without having to go through Congress.
Entonces, justamente ahí es donde esperamos ver los gestos más importantes en las próximas semanas.
That's exactly where we're hoping to see the most gestures of reform during the next months.
Sobre tu pregunta, sí, efectivamente ha existido una variedad de narrativas, como bien señalas. Y esto corresponde también a los distintos momentos, porque en una presentación, comprenderás, de 15 o 20 minutos, es muy complicado explicar toda estos 10 años, ¿no es cierto? Pero ha habido como distintos momentos, perdón.
Obviously, it's very difficult in just 15 or 20 minutes to explain a whole period of time so important of these 10 years, but there obviously are a variety of narratives taking place in Latin America at this time. Your question is a good one.
Y existió un primer momento en que hubo una especie de romance entre el presidente y sociedad civil.
First, there was a moment of a romance between the president and civil society.
Yo te diría que hasta la constituyente del 2008.
You'll remember the 2008 Constituent Assembly.
En donde en esa constituyente se refleja mucho de las aspiraciones históricas de la sociedad civil ecuatoriana.
And there you could see many of the historical aspirations of civil society in our country, Ecuador.
Pero a partir de ahí, cuando el presidente va adquiriendo cada vez más poder, ya la cosa va cambiando muchísimo.
But from there, as the president took on more and more power, things changed.
¿No? Y hasta que al final, para no hacer tan larga la historia, el presidente estuvo enfrentado a los indígenas, a los trabajadores, a los maestros.
And so, not to extend too long on this, the president was confronted by the indigenous people, the workers, and the teachers.
Médicos, es decir, digamos que la segunda parte de la presidencia de Correa es una sumar enemigos.
And doctors. And so what we could really say is that the last part of President Correa's period in office was to add on more and more enemies.
No eran solamente los periodistas o los dueños de los medios.
Not just journalists or owners of the media organizations.
Y simplemente con esto termino. Uno de los males mayores, de las herencias más negativas que deja un régimen autoritario.
I'd like to finalize with this. One of the most negative things that is inherited from an authoritarian regime
es la polarización.
Is polarization.
El que un sector de la población vea al otro sector como su enemigo.
One sector of the population sees the other as their enemy.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don, do you have any concluding thoughts or remarks you would like to share?
Not really. I just think Cesar has done a masterful job of summing up what's happening, and I don't want to put icing on his cake.
Well, thank you everyone for coming today and your questions. We hope that this has been informative, and Cesar is still in Washington for a few more weeks, so I'm sure he'll be happy to meet with you if you have additional questions, either later today or later this week. Thank you very much.